Greetings from Argentina. Such a wonderful privilege to be sharing with you everything that has happened since we last spoke. God has been faithful in confirming His word and showing us the way in which we need to be walking. As I spoke to you last time, our intention was to launch an English-speaking congregation in Argentina, or in Buenos Aires actually, and we did that. In downtown Buenos Aires, we felt that God wanted us to go outside of the conventional method, and we've been renting a conference room in a 4-star hotel, and we've had monthly meetings for the last couple of months already. And it's been wonderful to see people from different nations, Venezuela, Brazil, Germany, England, coming together and connecting around the Word of God and around the presence of God, and then around a passion to bless the people of Buenos Aires. And in the times that we've been meeting, we haven't just been praying for each other and worshiping and coming together within a room, but in fact we've been going outside of the walls into the streets, blessing the people of Buenos Aires, blessing the homeless with blankets and food, and doing practical things to bless the city of Buenos Aires. And we really have that burden that God would save that city and that His name would be glorified. With regards to the international community that we've been called to, God has really been opening tremendous doors. We've already gone to 2 meetings where we've been invited by the South African Embassy here in Buenos Aires, and we've had the privilege in both of those meetings to meet diplomatic staff, international people working in different embassies and consulates. And it's been great to get to know them, and we realize with Adele that it's going to take time for us to insert ourselves into that community. As we get invited to all these events regularly, we will be meeting the different people from the different embassies in order for us to really minister to them spiritually. The other open door that God has given us is that actually came through the Twin School. In the beginning of this year, when we moved to Buenos Aires, we put them into a Spanish-speaking school, and we thought that as it was with the boys, it wouldn't be so hard for them to study Spanish, and they'd actually coped very well in Rosario in the primary school in Spanish. But it didn't work out that way. It became more and more difficult for them to follow in class, not because the teacher wasn't explaining the work, but they had to dictate a lot of the things that was spoken from the class, and even the tests and exams would be dictated to them, and so they wouldn't write down fast enough, and they wouldn't understand, and they couldn't ask questions. So it really became so hard for us to help them. We had various meetings with the school. I actually helped them in the afternoons going through the work with them, but in the end we realized we had to make a change for them, and we then felt that the only viable option would be an international school where they would be receiving their education in English. But international schools are very expensive, especially since there are not so many of them, and so we really prayed, and we looked for many opportunities, many places, and it was just beyond our reach financially. In the end, we actually connected with a Christian school, the only Christian American school in Argentina, and God, through a wonderful process of talking back and forth and praying, opened the doors for the twins to receive scholarships, partially scholarships, and so they've given us a huge discount. It's still not very cheap, but it's not nearly as much as they would normally charge. And so we are so grateful for that opportunity, not just for the girls, because they would be receiving education in English. It's the American system, and so when they finish with high school, they'll have 2 high school diplomas, 1 Argentine diploma, 1 American diploma, but it also gives us access to the international community that school serves. There are about 20 nationalities represented in the school, and most of those children are from the staff from the different embassies and so on. So it's really just a confirmation of where God is leading us in connecting with these international people. And in actual fact, in the last meeting that we were at, one of the ambassadors or one of the embassies confessed to me that he was a Christian, but that his faith had dwindled, and so I could encourage him, and I had the opportunity to get his cell phone number, and we've been communicating in order for him to be encouraged in his faith. And so we really feel God is leading us, slowly but surely. We're not feeling under any stress to make the church grow and to make it big, whatever. We are just ministering to the people God is sending on our paths, and we believe that He's in charge of growing the work that He has started. That's with regards to the international congregation. The second part of what we've been involved in obviously has been around ministering in the area, ministering in different congregations, equipping the people for the work of ministry, because we really feel that is our work and our passion. And we've been ministering in various congregations, not only in Buenos Aires or in this area, but also in Buenos Aires City, and then also into Rosario, and we'll be ministering in the months to come in Rosario as well. And it's been wonderful to meet different pastors associations and fraternals, and encouraging them in the vision to reach and make a difference in the community and in the cities that God has placed in. I've just connected in those last 2 months with a federation of congregations, national congregations. God has really been giving me favor and open doors with them, and through that I'm able to encourage the church, the wider church in Argentina, and that I really feel the Lord is opening that door for me as well. The third element, or the third part of what we've been doing has had to do with Africa again. God spoke to us last year when we started this new journey, that God wanted us to connect the nations and use the different relationships He has given us. And so we've been connecting in the last few months with people from around the world that we are in relationship with, people in Africa, in Australia and Europe, and here in Argentina. And the idea is for us to begin to connect the different nations with each other. In 1999, Adele had a specific vision that she saw these fisher boats leaving Argentina and South Africa, in Argentina respectively, and moving towards South Africa and pulling in the net. And so we really feel that God wants us to do that, to connect these different nations, to connect young people from different nations, to let them come and experience Argentina, minister here in Argentina, then for Argentinians to go into Africa, into Australia into Africa, into Europe, and wherever God opens the door for people to be connected and to practically make a difference in the world. But not just them going on mission trips. The idea is really for them to also be equipped while they are doing the trip, and making use of our connections around the world. The equipping will be on site, but also through Skype and other methods, so that they won't just get monotonous training from someone, but it will be a whole team of equippers from around the world, people that we have been in relationship with for many years, taking part in equipping young people to understand their identity and their purpose, and moving into the destiny God has for them. Because of this international connection that we began to feel in our hearts, God opened the doors for me to minister into Africa again. Since we've been here in Argentina, we haven't done any mission trips to other nations, but in obedience to the Lord, I went on a trip to Zambia just a month ago, a few weeks ago actually, and it was wonderful to meet with a pastor that I had met in Uganda, Pastor Joshua Mukisa. He is on the Transformation Uganda, or the Transformation DVD that was made about Uganda. He's on that video, and he tells the story of Kalisizo, the city where he worked, and how we had helped him to be equipped in reaching the city, changing, and God using him to change the city. And it's just been an amazing testimony. And so he connected with me after so many years. He had connected with someone in Zambia, and through that, the invitation came for me to go to Zambia, and I ministered to a group of congregations from around the country. And it was awesome to connect with the Africans again. And it's as if God is reactivating our connection with Africa. But this time, us being in Argentina, ministering into Africa, and as I just explained, making those international connections. And so, God willing, next year, March, we will already have the first group of internationals coming into Argentina from Africa, African pastors and leaders, young people. And then next year, July, a group from Argentina will be going into Africa to minister and serve. And so we are very excited about those relationships God is establishing again through us and in us. And that brings me to the fourth element, and that is about the young people, as I explained. God really spoke to us last year when we felt that we needed to go, start a new chapter in our lives, that I had to recognize the value of family. That God had indeed not just called me as Wagner, but also Adele and also our kids. And obviously we've always been ministering as a family, but God really brought that into focus for us. And the first thing that I had to do was to recognize the value, the spiritual value that my own dad had in my life, and recognize him as a spiritual father and a spiritual mentor in my life. And as I did that, God just began to bless us as a family, began to use us as a family, began to bless our kids, meet with our kids, change their lives, refocus them. And so it's just awesome to see how our kids are growing in the Lord and growing in ministry. I don't know if you've seen on Facebook, but Christo is now engaged to a lovely girl from Argentina who actually lives in Germany, and he just came back from a trip into Europe in which he ministered with her in different parts there in Germany, and they went to a conference, etc., etc. And God is already using him, and not just him alone, in youth conferences and youth events, but also together with Camila, his fiancée. And it's awesome to see how God is speaking to them. Also with Vernig in Rosario, God confirming his ministry, the calling of God upon his life. And so each one of our children have been blessed by the Lord in these few months, been meeting with God and God meeting with them. And we just realized that this is a multi-generational thing. This is about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so we just are so incredibly privileged that we would be part of a family that serve God together. And to that end, my parents were also here in May. My in-laws were here in March. They were impacted by Argentina, by being here, spiritually impacted by being in Argentina. And God willing, my parents will be moving to Argentina a few years' time as they retire, and we'll be ministering together even more intensely and more literally ministering together. So those are the things that excite us at this moment. God is really birthing a new ministry identity in us, which has to do with families, which has to do with generations, which has to do with connecting the nations with one another, connecting and ministering to different nations of the world, ministering to leaders in government, and so we're continuing to just be obedient in doing what the Lord has called us to do. And so once again, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, thank you for your support, your prayers, those that are supporting us in finances. We really appreciate that so much, and we are excited about the future, and very soon I'll be giving you another update. May the Lord bless you abundantly.